July 6th, 2016. Today I woke up in Delphi, and that was pretty cool because it meant that I could go see the Temple of Apollo and wander around probably, certainly one of the most famous places. It's definitely in Greece, but I think probably like a lot of people know about the ruins and I guess the importance of everything that was in Delphi, like the oracle, and going to ask the questions that you have about life and having somebody go answer them for you. And yeah, so that was all in Delphi, and the hotel that I stayed at was it was only like a few hundred meters from the actual site. So I really did get up and go, oh wow, okay, I'm going to see the Temple of Apollo and all these very cool things. So I managed to have some breakfast first, breakfast number one, and then by then I was able to go over and walk around inside the whole ruins area. And it's this huge big steep slope up a mountain, and I saw everything like from the stadium at the very top to the ruins, the column bits of the Temple of Apollo, and all the way down through all the little places where they used to store like the treasuries or whatever, where they put very expensive things from various parts of Greece. And then I checked a little bit of the museum. I admit that I wander through museums pretty quick. I think if I've seen the actual thing, then I kind of look at the museums and go, yep, there's more pottery, and then I move on pretty quickly. And the statues are really cool, but again, there might be like hundreds of statues, and they're all missing arms, legs, heads. So it's just one of those things I'm quite happy to kind of move on past. And then I managed to catch the one and only bus out of Delphi, and then 6 transfers later, the bus arrived in where I am now, which is Meteora. And that 6 transfers also equals, I don't even know how many hours I spent on a bus. So I left at 10, and then I got here around maybe, so probably 4 or 5 hours, I guess, on buses. And today was where, if I had an imaginary bus buddy, my imaginary bus buddy would be Hermes, because it all magically worked out. Like even the transfer times, the fact that I even got on the one and only bus was like a miracle and a half. But then it was like the super express bus to the next place, going in and out of too many villages. It always seems to stop in just random villages here and there, but this one made fewer stops than most of the other buses. And then just transfer to varying degrees of local buses to get me up to Meteora. And it just it somehow magically worked, because I somehow just ended up on a bus that took me all the way up to the grand monastery of Meteora, and it happened sort of before it closed anyway. And these monasteries and nunneries and everything they're all perched on top of these massively high limestone outcroppings, I think is the right word. And so it almost feels like you're on a different planet, because you have these monasteries and nunneries just perched really precariously on top of these outcrops, and they're so high up. It's like from a video game or something, or a fantasy movie, I don't know, but it was pretty cool to be up top and to be looking down way down into the villages below, and also the other monasteries that were perched on top of these rocks. And so I went to the ground one, and it's just beautiful. Like there's the church bit of it, and then there's all these lookout areas and these like a courtyard that you could wander around, and then so this miracle bus that I ended up on, it took me all the way up there. Like it got to the point where I was the only person on the bus, and I was sat there, and the bus driver, awesome guy, and he just says, "Hey, do you want to go up top?" And I said, "Sure, like, yeah, absolutely, as long as you can take me back down as well." And then he said, "Yeah." So he drove the bus all the way up top, and then he said, "Come back at 5 o'clock." And so I said, "Sure." So that's how I got to wander out into this monastery and check it out, and then get back on the bus at 5 o'clock when he was going to drive it back down the hill. And by hill, I mean more like mountain. But while I was up top this monastery, I met this guy from Spain, and we were talking, and he's traveling on his own as well. And so we knew that we didn't have that much longer to spend in the monastery itself, because we knew that it was closing fairly soon. But he was saying, "Oh yeah, I'm from," because I asked him where he's from. He said, "Oh, I'm from Spain," and I found out that he has been traveling around Europe on his bicycle, like push bike, as in no motor, and it's amazing. Like, it's not even a proper road bike. It's like a hybrid kind of bicycle, and how he manages to do that, I don't know, but I was just so incredibly impressed. He's such a nice guy, and so he has a hammock, and he was showing me. He's like, "Yeah, I sleep in my hammock." So he doesn't pay for transportation. He doesn't pay for accommodation, I guess, and he just, like, he was all through Italy, and then he took the ferry over to Greece, and then he's been going all around Greece. I think, like, wow, I thought I was a budget traveler, and here he is doing it this way. And I guess it would only work during summertime, so he's picked a really good time to do it. But I just think that's so cool, to just get on your bike one day and just pedal wherever you want to go, and just sleep in random places in a hammock. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, so he got on his bike, and I got back on this local bus, and then I headed back down to the little village that's sort of closest to Meteora, and then I decided to stay on the bus to Kalabaka, which is slightly bigger, and it's where the main buses and the train leave to go back to Athens tomorrow. So I went to the train station anyway, and it turns out they're on strike, because this is Greece, and that's what we do here. And no trains today, no trains tomorrow. And so by that, I was over at the bus station and found out what time the buses leave tomorrow. It's about a 5-hour trip, I think, back to Athens, but it's all main highway, the main highway of Greece. So none of this popping in and out of villages. I'm really thankful for the number of villages and the slow pace that this has been to get up this far in, I'm going to call it northern Greece, is where I am at the moment. And yeah, just the things that I've seen in these villages, and the opportunity to get out and wander around, I have been really thankful for. And I can't imagine, like, I've seen some of the tour buses pull up in places, and I look at it and go, so happy, so thankful that I didn't choose to go on one of these tour buses. So I'm thinking at the moment, I'm at the point before I go to bed tonight, is I am thinking to stay close to the airport tomorrow night because of a very early flight out with Camille the day following to Santorini. And we'll see what I end up with. And I'd also like to do some research on accommodation for Santorini and just general research, I guess, about Santorini and looking at which islands I'd like to go to after Santorini and what that might look like, I guess. So hopefully I'm not up too late tonight, but I do want to do a little bit of research. Maybe I'll leave it till tomorrow night. I'm not too sure. So it's been a long day today, as is pretty much every day since I've been traveling, but it's been really, really good, and I have felt really lucky. Like I said, Bus Buddy would have been Hermes today, because it was just fast, and it was quick, and yeah, there was a lot of confusion, but it's the Greek bus system. I can't imagine anything other than just a whole lot of confusion. At least it was slightly. At least I didn't mess up today. That's what I meant to say. At least I didn't mess up. Is there anything else that Nope. I think that's it for today. And yeah. Good night.